All right, so it's 35 now. So yeah, let's get started with the official part with the Dynatrace office hours for app development. So what can you expect in this session? Well, we'll have a short what's new section. Actually, no, today it will be a bit longer because the Strato release notes are in there as well. We'll just give you a short overview of the next office hours that are happening. Also give you an overview of some new resources that we have, and then continue with the Strato release notes. And the second part will be the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them by using the Q&A tool that's at the bottom or at the top or on the sides of your Zoom. And yeah, go ahead, ask questions. And otherwise, we also have some community questions prepared for you to get you started here. So what's new? Well, the upcoming office hours, we have two types of office hours. One are called the Dynatrace Office Hours, and they're more focused on general topics such as DQL, permissions, data management, stuff like that. And then we have the office hours for app development, which is what you're watching right now. And these are meant more for app developers. So we give you details, news of what's happening with regards to app development. And the next Dynatrace office hours, they will be on Wednesday, May 8th at 4 p.m. or 10 a.m., depending on where you are. And our next office hours will be on Wednesday, May 15th, again at the same time, 3:30 p.m. or 9:30 a.m., again, depending on where you are. Yeah, so some of our resources that you can use to get into app development is the Learn DQL app and playlist. So why would you want to use DQL in your app? DQL is the way that you actually get data from Grail into your app so that you can display this data. And DQL is the Dynatrace query language, and you can use it to query data from Grail. So you will, if you already know a query language, it's quite similar. There are some differences, but overall, you'll kind of know the look and feel. But also, if you haven't done anything along these lines yet, the Learn DQL app, which is available on the hub, I'll show you later, is one possibility of how you can get into with a very hands-on and very easy exercises. And we also have the Learn DQL playlist, which is a channel that our team runs, and we provide in-depth explanations of how commands in DQL work. And we've got our latest video out on this channel, and it's about the join command. So if your app desperately needs this, then you can go check it out. And yeah, now let's get to the Strato release notes. And I've grouped them here by component, actually. And I will just run through this list and then later on show you some parts of this on Dynatrace Developer so we can check it out, what it looks like. First of all, the data table offers an improved CSV download now. So there's better custom cell value handling, and also characters are replaced in a different way. The column settings buttons now have a hovering tooltip. For condensed tables, the row height has been improved. And if you have columns that contain numerical values, they will not sort when they contain empty or non-numeric values. So you have to have all numeric values to be able to do a sort. And also a new thing is that now the data table exposes the data test ID attribute. So you can give a name to this attribute, but I'll show you later on. The time series chart, that's one of my favorite features for this one because it's very, it looks very nice, is a new curve prop for line, band, and area series in the time chart component. Then we've got changes to the text input field. So the text input supports browser validation now as a change. And if the validation goes wrong, there will be error messages displayed in the form field messages slot. I will also show you this in a moment. And finally, the form field component provides form messages that are auto-connected to the form control, and they show errors or hints if some validation goes wrong, so that users can know what they have to change. And it also allows using a label component now. So that's just a quick overview of some highlights of the releases that we did over the past time. And yeah, there are more. If you're interested in them, you can also check out the Strato release notes on Dynatrace Developer. And yeah, now let me just quickly share my screen again. And let's get on to some features. So as I said, some functionalities of the download have been improved. You can download as CSV, or there's also options to define your own download buttons. And data value handling means how this data will be displayed in the CSV. And also there's been some changes to the characters of how they are moved from the table to the CSV. And yeah, I mean, in general, this is a pretty neat feature because you can, depending on what your needs are, you can download or let your users download data from your app in an easy fashion. And it's also possible, for example, to select a couple of rows and then just download the data from these selected rows. Now I've got it. And
maybe I see a question. I see there are codes.
Go ahead.
In the show code button.
Yes.
So this basically means there is no need. So when you, I mean, maybe first the show code. So we have this code snippet already prepared if you want to check it out. And usually so you see, yeah, our table columns and table definitions. But I guess if you scroll to the bottom of the page or of this,
yeah, here we go.
You will see basically how the table and the components used for the table are being built and the download buttons. And if you don't want to check this out in your app, you can use the code sandbox link, which will just open the box, and you can basically just try it out in the browser, even without getting the code into your local IDE. Yeah, code sandbox.
Yeah, it always, yeah.
About 2 minutes, but it installs some dependencies, but basically easy way of just trying out Dynatrace components without the need of doing it locally.
That, and also an easy way to provide or to copy and paste code that's already existing here. Yeah. So we will check back in later, and but for now we'll just let it run in the background. So yeah, I also said that the columns reorder option now has a hover menu, tooltip, sorry, tooltip. And when you click on it, it actually, which is also pretty cool, it lets you reorder your columns in a way that you want them to. For example, if I do this now and then confirm, then my information has been switched around. And I can also, for example, say I want traffic to go to the bottom, and now I have traffic here. So this is one option that you can do with this, but so the change was really only the tooltip that's being shown here now. Yeah, next up was the data test ID attribute that you can now pass to the data table itself as a prop. And basically, this is a string that you can use when you test your app. So you can make sure that your data table works the way you want it to work. As I said, my favorite new feature is the curve prop. So as you can see here, it lets you, it displays your diagram in a curved way. And just to show you what the difference is, this is what it might otherwise look like. And I just really like this this version. So I think it looks very visually pleasing. So yeah, also again, here you have the show code button that you can dive into. And it's pretty, simple actually. And you can just pass the curve prop here, as you can see, to the time series chart component. And again, you can also check out this component and the code around it in a code sandbox.
And
Right.
if there are any questions, so please use the Q&A feature of Zoom. It should be at the bottom of your screen. So any kind of questions related to creating custom Dynatrace apps, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section.
Yes. Please do so. Yeah, and let's move on to the next feature. So the text input offers a validate function, and you can do it with a React hook form package. But it's also possible to do validation using the browser. And basically what happens if I click here and it says username and I don't submit a username, then the validation fails, obviously, and I do get an error message. And let's just check out the code here as well and see if they've done it nicely. Yeah, so basically I have my text input here. And it says, yeah, that I should enter my username. And obviously I haven't entered one, so it says, please enter one. And the text input is wrapped by the form field. And this component also provides the form field messages component. So right now we're in a text input component, but we do wrap this with a form field component. And it's now also possible to show custom hints and errors in the form field message component. So you don't have to rely on existing messages, but you can also do your own. And again, this is the same thing. And this is the form field messages component. So this is the text input component, and this is the form field messages component. And there is one new thing, as I mentioned also for the form field, is that you can set a label now. Why would you want to set a label? Well, that's a cool practice for accessibility because it allows you, and I will show you this in code as well, again, it allows you to tie the label and the text input together so that it makes it easier, for example, for screen readers to direct people accordingly. Yeah, and that's it from my side for this. Sini, do you want to take over for the Q&A session?
Yes, maybe you stop sharing. Or actually,
here you go.
I overrule you.
You can also do that.
I hope you see my screen.
Yes, we do.
So we had a look at our developer community forum. So community.dynatrace.com, and checked out what kind of questions have been asked in the last month since our last session, and might be worth to share with you. And yeah, but before that, since I don't see any Q&A questions, so we can just jump into the questions I've collected or we have prepared so far. So here we have Alexis, who had an issue once he wanted he wanted to deploy the app in Dynatrace. So this is maybe something you might also experience. So you might not be allowed everywhere to deploy apps, and you might get 403 errors when you run the command npx dtapp deploy. Or npm run deploy, and yeah, you might get this error, as you can see here, failed to install the app, 403 error. The root cause
So
of this,
could this happen to me as well, Sini, if I was trying to build an app?
it can happen anywhere. You need the proper permissions. So this is something what is managed by usually your account admin to give you different kinds of permissions. And what you need, the permission you need to have to be able to deploy apps is the install app engine apps install scope or permission. And yeah, we have this all documented in Dynatrace or in our public help. And yeah, without the permissions, without this permission, you won't be able to install any kind of app. So if you have that kind of permission, you can install apps. Yeah, you can even further customize it and say, okay, you are only allowed maybe to install custom apps and not apps which are Dynatrace authored apps or installable via the Dynatrace Hub, can be further customized. But basically, you need this app engine apps install permission.
Okay, cool. So, but I can manage, as an admin, I can manage the granularity of what people can install quite narrowly.
Yes. So as said, you can scope it down that you can only install, let's say, custom apps, because custom apps, they usually have a my dot prefix. This is what we require. Or you can give somebody permissions, for instance, only to be able to install Dynatrace apps, which are offered in the Dynatrace Hub. Then the policy would look like, yeah, only allow app installs where the app ID starts with Dynatrace dot.
Okay, cool. That's very good to know. So if I ever run into this error as an app developer, I just go to my admin and ask them to change my permissions accordingly, and then it should all work out fine.
Either this, or if your account admin doesn't allow you to install or to have a general install rights, you can also zip your artifact, or you can build your app and send it to your admin and ask the admin to upload it via the hub as a custom app. So there are two solutions to the same problem. So either you get this permission, or you go to your admin and send the app bundle to the admin, and the admin would then upload it, your app, or install your app via the hub with the install app functionality or custom app functionality.
Okay, cool. So in any case, I have different options to bring my app to my audience. That sounds good.
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I think you mentioned something about having a second question as well. What happened there?
Yeah. So here we had a question from Veronica. And there was an issue with app deploying. And what was tried here basically was to deploy an app so with a different version. And as you can see here, the version schema which was tried here was basically adding a 000-beta10. And of course, it's all, I mean, for humans, it's obvious that beta 10 should be a newer version than beta 9, right? But
Sounds logical.
Sounds logical, but it's not that logical, maybe. because you will get an error that you're trying to install an outdated version. And basically what Dynatrace does, so the Dynatrace versioning is followed by the semantic versioning schema. And what is this? Basically, you have usually major, minor, and patch version. And if you append anything, this will be treated just as regular string. And how semantic semver works or interprets it is basically beta 10 is newer or smaller than beta 9. So a workaround.
Is that because it's first it compares the beta and then it goes on to the 1 and compares it with the 9?
Yeah,
Is that
so
the way it does it? Yeah.
it's character by character. So the comparison happens character by character if you have just a string and not numerical numbers. This is what we have in this case with the patch version. So the patch version has first, so it's a mix of many characters. So it's not a number, it's just a string. And their comparison happens character by character.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And is there like, do I have to know this, or is there a way that I can compare this more easily if I ever happen to run into a spot where I'm not sure?
You will, I mean, as you've seen, you will get an error message. This doesn't work out. And one thing I want to mention there, so every time you want to deploy an app and you don't change the app version in app config JSON or app config TS, if you don't increment the app version, update won't happen. So this is just a check. So, okay, you want to redeploy the app. If it's the same app ID, you have to bump your app version or app version. Otherwise, you will also get an error from Dynatrace that, hey, why do you want to deploy an app with the same version? So for all new deployments, if the app is already installed, you have to bump the app version. Or another possibility would be, if you don't want to bump the app version, you can uninstall the app, also with the help of the Dynatrace App Toolkit, and deploy it again.
Okay, cool. So if I at some point do get the error message that it's an invalid app bundle, then the assumption is close that I either have to go up with my versioning, or that if I want to keep the number that I actually added just now, then I have to uninstall my app and reinstall it with the same version number again.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
So I see there are no questions in our been asked. Yeah, maybe again just a hint or to check out resources. So what kind of resources you can make use or do we offer when it comes to creating Dynatrace apps? For any kind of questions you might have, feel free to ask them in the developer Q&A forum. So in Dynatrace, in community.dynatrace.com, and check out the developer forum. So we are there trying to be really responsive and answering all the questions being asked. Also, as you might know, we have Dynatrace developer docs, so all the documentation about creating Dynatrace apps on developer.dynatrace.com. And if you want to talk to us in person, we are having those office hours about app development. And the next ones will take place on the 15th of May. And yeah, feel free to sign up for them again.
Yeah, and maybe let's mention one more resource that's actually not on here. In the Dynatrace community, there's also a developer newsletter that you can check out. It comes out once a month as well. And it also has everything that we presented here today, or at least links to all of these topics. And you can check it out and get your updates from there as well. And also get some further links to explore for all things app development.
Okay. Yeah, if there are no further questions, I don't see any in our Q&A. I guess we can close the call.
That sounds like a good plan. Let's give people 30 minutes of their day back. And we hope you have a nice one. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and I hope we will see you next month again.
Ciao.
Have a nice day. Bye.